Welcome back to Sports Weekly on IEMG. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez. We're talking SBVC men's basketball as the Wolverines made it to the state's Elite Eight at Mount San Antonio College. Not only the Elite Eight, but the Wolverines making it to the state's Final Four. They took on a very tough Fullerton squad, the number one seed in Southern California, and it was the Fullerton Hornets coming away with a 83-76 victory in the state semifinals, aka the Final Four. It was another great year for the Wolverines and head coach Quincy Brewer as they finished with an overall record of 27-6. Here's our exclusive interview with Coach Brewer. Join us here on the show, fresh off a run to the state's Final Four. That is the semifinals here in the state of California. It is SBVC men's basketball coach Quincy Brewer. And Coach, man, you guys got to the Final Four. I was hoping you guys would punch your ticket and be playing on Sunday for that championship. I know it's probably bittersweet in the moment as a head coach, but do you have to step back just a little bit and allow yourself to be like, man, we accomplished a lot this year. I know we want to win the whole thing, but we still accomplished a lot. How do you kind of balance that with your team, talking to them after that game against Fullerton?
Well, man, again, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me on, man. I appreciate it greatly. It's always good seeing you. Tough loss. And it was a tough loss versus a very good team. In basketball and coaching, I've been doing this for the past 16 years at San Bernardino Valley College, so I've learned to see things holistically. I know that it was a very difficult start for us in the season. We also played a tough schedule. In games like that, it was a very, very winnable game, but there were things in that game that just didn't go our way that we were basically responsible for. So, if you don't make shots that are wide open shots, it's kind of hard to beat a good team like Fullerton. And we had about 3 guys that shot a combined 11 for 46 from the field, basically on shots that were open. So it's kind of hard to win a game like that. And they also played well.
Coach, I'm a kind of a stats and numbers junkie, and I was looking through the box scores, and you guys did so well on the glass, especially the offensive glass. But like you said, missing those shots, like the 3-point shooting, it's just some days the basket is just not going in the cylinder. Do you just try to find other ways to win, get to the free throw line, rebound the basketball? Like, do you just try to find other ways that you can impact the game? Is that what you're just kind of maybe preaching to your guys who normally score a lot?
Well, again, normally. Again, our defense is our pedigree in our program, and they shot 50% from the field. So it's difficult to beat a team who shoots 50% from the field in a playoff game. We shot 77 field goal attempts. They shot 53 field goal attempts. So in a game like that, normally you win by 10 or 15 points. And again, I don't say things very often about the officiating of any basketball game because that's kind of irrelevant. But in this game, I think they shot 17 more free throws than us, which was very ironic based on the fact that we shot several more shots than them. So it was a tough game for us. Definitely on our part because we missed several wide open shots. We also allowed them to shoot a field goal percentage of 50%, which is not our characteristic. And then again, they shot way more free throws than us. On almost 20 less field goal attempts.
Well, Coach, like you mentioned, where the team started and to where they were able to reach the state semifinals, the Final Four, how much growth, how much progress did this team make over the last 3-4 months? Was it, a pleasant surprise? Did you expect it? I know it was sophomore heavy, so some of these guys, they've been around the block and they've played some basketball, but, from where they started to where they ended, how much did this team improve?
Well, again, going into the season, I thought our team was going to end up around 25-3, 26-2, so I was not surprised at all. Mm-hmm. It didn't surprise me at all. Literally what the average fan doesn't realize is that coaching is a very tough profession, and there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that the average fan doesn't see, as far as players being disciplined, as far as guys buying into your system, as far as players having disagreements on the court. There's a different component in coaching that most people don't see from a fan perspective that goes on. So, granted, you may end up losing twice in conference to a team or 3 times in conference, but in those losses, you may learn a lot. So we learned from our 5 losses in the preseason and also in conference, which were games that we probably should have won. This is a very, very talented team. We're going to probably have 4 guys off of this team go Division I. So my expectation at the beginning of the season was to probably lose maybe 1 or 2 games. So I wasn't surprised to be in the Final Four, and I expected to be in the championship game. That was my expectation when I looked at the brackets in the playoffs. I looked at the teams that I was going to face, and I was very, very familiar with all of our opponents. So I expected to be, playing on Sunday. And in fact, our hotel rooms were booked all the way to Sunday. So, again, not being arrogant or conceited, but I wasn't surprised at all. I don't really get caught up into the, media and the rankings. I don't even read the rankings throughout the year. And trust me, when I say that to you, I mean it with all my heart. I do not read the rankings. I do not read what anybody says about me, because what I believe in is what I believe in about myself and my team. And I see these guys practice every day, and this is that was a very, very talented team that was more than capable of winning the state championship. But you cannot go into a playoff game in a realm like that and have guys shoot the way that they shot in a game like that. It's impossible to win.
Coach, when you look at the season as a whole, how fun, how rewarding was it for you this season?
It was great. Seeing guys that couldn't function under pressure, seeing guys that couldn't execute earlier on in the season versus good teams to where they just couldn't beat anybody that was any good. And then to see them go on a roll and just dominate 3 good teams. They dominated 3 good teams in the playoffs. They went on the road to go play over Sandero Canyon, beat them by 25 points, okay? They actually went over to go play at Mount Sac, beat them at home. And then they did a very good job versus the defending champion, West Valley College, on a big stage. So that growth right there, seeing a team that couldn't function earlier in the year, that were very, very argumentative, very, very divisive, and to see them come together as a group, it was a great feeling.
Coach, obviously you have a ton of talent on your team, but I think what you're saying, and a lot of coaches will say, you have to manage, people at the end of the day, manage personalities and make sure everyone's, like you said, getting along and make sure it's all coming together at the right time. How much of it is X's and O's, and how much of it is just, relating to your players to bring out the best in them?
But again, I would say that there is a very large portion of it that is X's and O's. Any coach that's on the sideline needs to be competent in terms of putting his guys, in a position to win and just, scouting and definitely things like that. But 70% of it is your ability as a coach to keep a team together, because these kids have so many distractions with Facebook and social media and TikTok. And it's like everybody's showing their highlights of their life. So the kids feel sometimes if they can't show a highlight that they're not significant. So they have a lot harder maybe than I had as a kid, and that's probably the most challenging thing right now in coaching is that one, everybody wants instant gratification. Several of my best players that I've had in this program, over the past 16 years, like granted, we had a kid that was here maybe 9 years ago named Paris Hicks. Yeah. And Paris Hicks came out of high school, Pasadena High School. And as a freshman, he backed up Charles Collison, who was a player of the year, went on to Washington State and who's playing pro right now. And he didn't play as a freshman. He didn't play as a freshman at all. And what he did was he sat there and just waited his turn. And his parents supported the program. His high school coach supported the program. That day is kind of different. I mean, literally in this day, you have players that probably aren't that good, that are the 10th man, the 11th man, and they think they should be starting. And so it's a lot more challenging nowadays to actually keep teams together. So that's kind of actually what we dealt with earlier on in the season, and the guys grew up.
Yeah, I remember Paris, man. He was a great player.
Great player.
Yeah. Coach, I was looking at your roster. I mentioned it was sophomore heavy. So as we kind of look ahead to next season, I know Darius Carr is a big-time player. He's a freshman, but looking ahead to next year, I know the nature of the beast in JC is, it's a revolving door, and you're always constantly, trying to win now, but also building for the future. That 2-year window goes real fast. But, how does the team look for next year?
Oh, again, first and foremost, there is no building for the future. It's this way on our level, the D2 level, and the Division I level. Now, everybody is essentially a junior college coach. So Darius Carr is going to probably end up signing a full scholarship with National Power 5 school probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks. So he's leaving. So basically, we're going to have probably about 10 guys going for the program, and that's the nature of the beast on this level. So you either get into it and you enjoy the grind of, just constant recruiting and team building, or you don't. I'm fortunate that I do enjoy that grind. So we're looking forward to actually building this team back up again next year.
I know they don't crown champions in the offseason, but a lot goes into it, right? Like you said, the recruiting trail and making contact and networking with, a lot of coaches that to try to get new guys in, right? I mean, the offseason is just as important as in-season. Is that safe to say or close to it?
It is beyond safe to say. It is beyond safe to say. This team that I have this year, if you look on our roster, I think that we have like 7 or 8 new guys, and we literally started to recruit maybe 2 or 3 days after our last game. And I'm going to probably be off until Tuesday or Wednesday, and then granted on Wednesday morning, we're going to be back on it. So it's like that's the nature of the beach right now in basketball. So you either enjoy that grind or you don't, and I enjoy it.
And Coach, finally, does winning help recruiting in terms of, hey, we just made the state's Final Four, we were in the state semifinals, you could be a part of what we're doing right now? Like, how does that help you in terms of trying to, like you said, build next year's roster?
I would say that it does help to a certain extent, but really it's about relationships. People don't send kids to places, they send kids to people. So I think that I have pretty good relationships with the local high school coaches and AU coaches, not only in California, but also nationally. And that's the way that we've been able to basically build our brand.
Well, Coach, listen, congratulations on a fantastic season out there at San Bernardino Valley College, and can't wait to see you guys do it again next year.
All right, so I appreciate it. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
You got it. That is Quincy Brewer, the head coach of your Wolverines here on Sports Weekly on IEMG. Another great year for the Wolverines. When we come back here on Sports Weekly, we'll check in with the Aquinas boys basketball team following their championship season. That's next year on Sports Weekly on IEMG.